Hi there. My name's Sarah Jane. People call me SJ. People call me Sarah. People call me all sorts of things. Anyway, yeah, I obviously vlog a lot about my current condition, which is anorexia nervosa. And at the moment, that's the illness that's most prominent. But as I mention in a lot of my vids, that's not my main diagnosis. My main diagnosis is borderline personality disorder, which I believe has recently been changed to unstable personality disorder. Many among the community that I am involved with via social networking do not like this rephrasing. However, DSM can rephrase it if they like. It's still what it is. Just very to keep it in short about myself, I'm 38 years old, and from about the age of 16 I began to develop symptoms that I couldn't quite put my finger on. I didn't know I had depression. I ended up in eating disorder units twice during the early 90s, and then discovered sort of self-harm. I also had always a feeling of no direction in life. All of my friends seemed to know that they might, they want to go to uni, they want to do this, they want to do that. I had never had any sort of direction, and there was a lot of traits in myself that even once I sort of been in recovery from the anorexia and then met the father of my child. I had my child, my boy, when I was 20, just before I turned 21. And it was actually him that saved me from a lot of really bad things. Because being a mum to a tiny baby, suddenly gave me a reason to live, or and a reason to need to be alive. However, years went by. I actually ended up marrying somebody else, and he was married to somebody before me, and he is also oh god, I think 11 years older than I. 9 or 11, I can't remember. Yeah, and looking back now, I see that even the marriage was based around borderline, or, I mean, there are other personality disorders that I've been diagnosed with, but borderline is the one that I'm talking about specifically for this video. And yeah, looking back at the whole pattern of events from meeting him to him marrying me, and the way life went on, it was kind of, if I look back, everything about the whole thing was borderline. I'm not saying I didn't love him once, or anything like that, but what I am saying is that I realise that it wasn't that I wasn't aware of this condition. I wasn't aware that I had this condition. I got diagnosed quite late on, and it was actually my father and a psychologist I was seeing around 2007, 2008 that first put something called multi-personality disorder to me, and I just kind of. Anyway, as time went on, we talked more about personality disorders, and when I was given an NHS guideline sheet with the criteria for diagnosis for borderline, or BPD for short, so I've made a quick note of the criteria. Suddenly it was like a great big thing of light had opened, and it was like, oh my god, this is me, because I'd self-harmed a lot, on and off. My eating disorders kept coming and going, anorexia, bulimia. I did compulsive things a lot, impulsive things. Well, I'll read out the criteria, and it may be that some of you out there that maybe have eating disorders or have other problems but have never had a diagnosis of borderline, and I'm not trying to push anybody to get one. It's just that this actually saved me as regards getting treatment and actually understanding myself. Okay, this is the criteria, of which I believe you only have to meet 5 out of them to have a diagnosis, but essentially I'll go through them point by point. The first one is extreme reactions, panic, rage, depression, frantic reactions to abandonment, whether real or imagined. Now that was one straight away. I could go into lots of detail about that, but I would do anything to avoid anybody abandoning me. Boyfriends, even if I didn't really love them anymore or want them, anything like that, it was like, no. It was that whole, I hate you, don't leave me. But, you know, it's the fear of abandonment and wanting to be the best for that person, and they can have nobody else because you've got to be the centre of their world and their every, you know, and that made sense. Point 2, patterns of intense and stormy relationships with friends, partners, etc., family, extreme closeness, idealization to extreme state, or I can't read that. Oh yeah, devaluation. And again, I used to find this a lot with colleagues at work. I would get on very well with people, have quite a quirky personality, blah blah, but there were times when I would go into work, say one day, and a certain person would be off sick, and I would be cross and annoyed with them because they were my favourite person there at work, and they weren't at work, and they were leaving me to be there on my own, and it really used to rile me, and I couldn't understand why I have such extreme reactions. And same with friends, and like you say, boyfriends. It'd be like other people would be like, oh sorry, can't make tonight, after all, we'll have to do it another time. To me that was a complete disaster. No, this isn't happening to me, I've got to be in complete control, how dare you, blah blah. But it was, yeah, very very I say eye-opening. Maybe I'll talk about myself after I finish reading the points. Impulsive behaviour, sex, spending sprees, dangerous behaviour, substance abuse, binge eating, eating disorders, suicidal behaviours, threats, self-harm, ODing, recurring. That sort of covers 2 points. All of those things I would skip from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, without feeling really guilty, but at the same time maintaining bringing up my son and going to work, and you know, except for the times when the eating disorder kicked in and I had to go into inpatient care. However, all of those completely can relate to. Chronic feelings of emptiness, boredom, lackluster of wanting to do anything. Now, I always found this one, and this one is one of my favourites, because even once I was having treatment, the dialectical behavioural therapy, this was something that my therapist would say, pick up a book, watch a TV programme, distraction, do something, get up, go out, do. And it wasn't that I didn't want to, it was that I actually physically and mentally couldn't, because I was almost angry with myself, because there was absolutely nothing that interested me. I would spend 6 months writing poetry, but then put it to one side, not chuck it away, but that's it, finished, don't write poetry anymore. Maybe come back to it a year later. You know, I started writing books. I've got about 4 books. Started, never finished. Still not finished, excuse me. So yeah, and I still get that now, where I'm like, you'll get the vacuum out, just even do the vacuuming, you need to vacuum the flat. But no, I don't want to do that, It's almost like a spoilt child sometimes, like, I don't want to do that, or just feeling empty, no emotion. It's like beyond depression, where you are just so empty. It's the only way I can describe it. Just numb, empty, nothing. You just feel nothing. Inappropriate reactions as well. Someone will come into work and say their dog had died or been run over, and everyone's hugging, kissing, and oh, that's so sad. And I sit there and I think, I know what I'm supposed to say, but I don't feel anything for that. Even if I like the person or they're my friend, I just, you know, I always found my reactions to things that other people found extreme, or I would not really know how to react correctly or appropriately. Yeah, highly changeable moods varying from hour to hour, day to day. Inappropriate anger. Now this is the only one that I couldn't really identify with. Like intense anger and problems controlling anger. Now that's the one thing I rarely, if I do get angry, I can control it, I will admit. So that's one that, okay, didn't particularly fit. And then the last one, stress related paranoia, severe dissociation, cut off from oneself, losing touch with reality, viewing yourself from an outsider point of view. So you're actually detaching yourself from your own self. So you're looking, in your mind, you're not you. You're looking at somebody, say in a mirror, that you're thinking, yeah, that's me, but it's kind of a cross between depersonalization and actually not really understanding or knowing who you are. And yeah, when I read those and read them and kept rereading them over, I thought, that's me. I have borderline personality disorder, and all of the self-harm, the anorexia, the interchangeable, you know, behaviours over the years, all of that that's me, and I need to get help. And on this note, I'm going to end this video, and the next video that I'm going to do straight afterwards is going to be about the treatment I received for my borderline, and how it didn't cure me, but how anybody that is able to get this treatment, I would recommend it. And so I'll be back shortly with part 2 of the Borderline Explained video. Okay, thank you, and see you in a moment.